Hello, everyone. This is Vickie Hacking, and I'm coming to you from Orlando, Florida. And this is my 50, this is my 61st anniversary with Jafra on January the 15th. And on January the 19th, I turned 83 years old. And I got great skin. I don't look my age, I don't act my age. And I say that it's because I've had a fabulous career that I have loved for the past 61 years. And I think it has kept me young. And I think my skin looks great because I use Jafra products on my skin. And we here on the Hive tonight have women that have been with Jafra for over 40 years. So just real quickly, would you say your name and how many years you've been in? So let's start. Sylvia,
Sylvia Morris Pine with Jafra with 56 years.
Helen,
Helen Wells with Jafra for 56 years.
who else do we have with 50 years or plus?
Sarah Hipple, 51 years, February 20th.
Who else do we have over 50 years?
Carol
Okay.
Willard, 40 years. I started in 1985.
Okay, who else do we have over 40 years?
Debbie Yingling, 44 years today is my birthday.
And it's her birthday, Jafra birthday. Who else do we have over 40 years?
Stella Colbert. Oh, sorry, Debbie, go.
Debbie Lawson. I have 45 years as of last year.
Okay, let's do January only. Otherwise, we might be here for a long time. We've got so many. Who else has a January anniversary?
I do.
Okay,
45 years, Linda Weaver.
Linda Weaver, Ohio. Who else do we have?
Well, this this is my 35th anniversary today.
Today.
Great.
So, okay. So now I want to say that every month on the Hive, we are going to recognize you for your anniversary. But I just want you to look at these women that have been using Jafra for 40 and 50 years. They just came on and introduced themselves. And the proof that Jafra keeps you looking great is the proof in the age of our consultants, how long they've been in Jafra. So Jafra is a product that no other company can claim that. We are the only company that has people that have been using the products for over 40, 50, 60 years. And we have the skin to prove it. So I started in Jafra in 1964. And my friend, a church friend, approached me and had said, why don't you come and look at Jafra? And I wondered if Jafra was another religion or something, what was a Jafra? Had no idea. And so anyways, what we did, can you all see me?
Yes.
Okay. So what we did is I was working for an advertising agent after I'd left Brigham Young University. I was newly married and I didn't like working for men. In the 1960s, women were secretaries. That's what they were. It was unheard of for a woman to be making over $15,000 a year. Unheard of. That's how low it was for women in the 1960s. So I remember walking out of my job. I didn't like having because I was a good secretary. I was a good typist, and so all the work was always thrown at me. So I was 6 months. I was like I think 6 months pregnant. And we had a baby that was coming, and my husband was working boxing groceries for Ralph's Market in Southern California. We lived in Van Nuys, California. And so this woman took me to a Jafra meeting. I got to shake hands with Frank as we walked in the door because he always said, hello, darling, we're so glad you're here. And then Jan conducted the meeting. Now remember, Eileen Lawler did a presentation. Melinda Zeladon did a presentation. Carol Martins did a presentation. They didn't have but just a little teeny pink brochure with a cute little girl on the back and a few products. And then what we did is I immediately said, wow, this is a company where where you could do public speaking, which I really enjoyed doing in high school and college. So women were the focus. They were the center of attention. Only Frank was there. He was the only man in the room. So I remember Linda saying, and if I remember correctly, you can correct me, Helen, but was the kit $95 or $55?
55.
It was 55, wasn't it?
No, it was 95 when I came in.
Okay, so Sylvia, you said, I remember.
I don't remember paying 95. I think it was either 65 or 55, but no more than
Yeah.
that.
And
That
I
was
remember, yes, I think
50,
Sylvia's right.
59.
Yeah, 59.
69.
Yeah, with the
69
black
is
cake.
when I started, and it was about that price.
So what we did is I went to Richard said, "You're gonna what?" And I said, "Yeah, I need $60, whatever, with the tax." And my husband just had a fit. He said, "We can't even afford this baby, and I'm boxing groceries at night, and you want to go and buy this stupid kit." So, anyways, I remember I went to my mother, and my mother said, "I'll give you the money." Now they gave you a guarantee that you could get your money back if you in the first 30 days. And so I remember my husband saying, just return the kit and we won't tell your mother and we'll just pocket the money. Just think, do you see what kind of support I had from a husband in the beginning? So my first party I booked, and it was in Pomona, California, and on Upland, because that's where I had gone to high school for a few years. And so I had some friends out there, and they said, "Come out, we want to see your products." So they did a party for me, and I sold $160 that night. And I drove back from Van Nuys to Van Nuys. And my husband said, "Well, how did you do?" First, he went out and looked at his car to make sure that I didn't have any scratches on it. And then I said, "Well, I think I made like $70 or $80 because we got 50% in those days." And Richard said, "Oh my gosh, I have to box groceries every night of the weekend. I don't even make that." That was his side job. He worked for a regular insurance company at the beginning. So he was that impressed him that I made some good money in one night. Well, within a year, I started making commissions, got checks in the mail from Jafra every month. And I remember being able to pay for all the baby's clothes. And I used to take Richard to McDonald's on Friday nights. And I would say, "Jafra paid." I always told him, "I'll take you to dinner tonight." We'd go to McDonald's, and then I'd say, "And Jafra pays." And then as we went on, I sponsored people. That was my claim to fame. And the only reason I did it, it wasn't that I was smart, it was that I was lazy. I saw that if I brought people in, they would do their own ordering and I wouldn't have to box up. I did not like boxing up products in the white sacks. I did not like delivering cosmetic. Oh, and you guys, I'm not a math person. So for me to have to collect money and figure it out, that was just not me. And so when you say, "Oh, you were so smart and you saw it that way from the beginning," no, it's because I was lazy. I basically said, if they'll sign up, then Jafra will take care of them. I won't have to take care of them. And Jafra will do all the packing of the orders. And we used to take our products, and Frank was always polishing the creams in his garage in Malibu. He would get them from Dorothy Gordon in Santa Monica. They would be delivered to Janet Frank's home in Malibu. And Frank was in charge, and he would make sure all the jars were polished and put in the boxes and labeled. And then they would have a car or a truck take it all over the valley. And they would go out to Upland because I sponsored the first person in Pomona in that area. So that whole area, Riverside, San Bernardino, boom, 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 that was all under me. I was number one to go out there because Richard was transferred to Pomona. So I sponsored Ann Whittam when she went out there. And she was and Linda Powers, you don't know these people, but they were all good hitters. They were all leaders. Jenny McWilliams, you might know Jenny, and Jackie Camstra, all of them came from out there in that area. And so Frank would have trucks take the products. This is crazy. To some, if you had they called it a station point, was it, Sylvia? Like it was a place where the products were delivered and put in that person's garage, and Jafra gave them some kind of a discount or something special for being a person that would be in charge. And you would go to that home and open up the garage door and pick your box up, put it in your car, and go home. That's the way they did it in the beginning. They had station points, okay, all over, out in Pomona, out in Rivers, Santa Ana, that whole Orange County area. Sylvia, I'm sure you remember that. Helen, do you remember the garage story?
I was a delivery station.
You were a delivery station. That's
Yes.
what,
Yep.
yeah.
And I think that we got, I want to say, 4 royal jellies.
That was it.
We got 4 royal jellies for having the delivery station every month.
Yeah. Oh my God. So that's how they paid
In
them.
San Diego, we didn't have one. We had the regular shipping.
Oh, okay.
When later on, when you grew in the Spanish speaking part, they had it, but the English speaking, we just, they got shipped directly to our home.
Directly. So anyways, I was part of the station points. And then I started bringing people in from out of state. And Jan and Frank did not like that. They punished you. You got 40%. You did not give 50% if you were out of state. So, and all these people came in Jafra from Utah and Oregon and Idaho. It was just booming in those areas. So they did not like that. I think probably taxes. I don't know, having to deal with taxes or whatever. So many of you you won't like this part of the story, but Jan and Frank were financially in trouble because of the fact that they were very, I don't know exactly, generous in the fact that Henry Caldoriero basically said, either you sell the company, you need to do something because you can't keep up with it this way. And so I know they came to myself and Eileen and Shirley Brown. There were 3 of us, and they asked us if we wanted a distributorship. That was the way they were going to go. Well, Eileen and I didn't want anything to do with the distributorship. We had children we were raising, and Shirley Brown did take the distributorship. But then Gillette came along and offered Jan and Frank a super. They would get stock in the company. That's how they paid them for Jafra, was through a stock option. And that was a very lucrative. And they also made Jan a corporate, person. She was like chairman of the board. I think that's what it was called. And so it was wonderful for Jan. And it was prestigious. Frank, he didn't want anything to do with it. He had probably polished products until he was exhausted. And so Jan and Frank, then Gillette was a very good thing for us to do. One thing they did was that they improved the products a lot, and they gave us Villain and whatever. There were a lot of things that happened, but they made a very, very bad mistake. They hired Hal Avery as president, and he was from Avon. And they put an Avon program on our wonderful Jafra program. And this was not a good thing because they took their top leaders. There were like 14 of us that they had come into the Century Plaza, and they offered us a lot more than what we were making. I know that mine was over 100,000 a year, made a lot more than that. I know I thought, oh, I've struck it rich, right? Because this was 1970. Women were not making over 100,000. But I remember it was a lot of money because at that time I was 10 years after I was in Jafra for 10 years, I made over 100,000 a year. I was the first woman to do that. And so now they wanted me to give up my lineage. So that's you signed the contract to be a regional director, but you had to give up your rights to your lineage. And that would be like, to me, that's where Jafra shot themselves in the foot, is because you don't take your top people and make them all of a sudden be area. They were areas. You were given an area and you no longer had your own team or your group. So that was a big mistake. But we did do a lot of other things right, like the products and all of that. So I'm just going to say that's kind of my story. I left California and moved to Utah. And that was a very good move for me. I sponsored the person that started Jafra in Utah, and that was Myrna Chapel. And then Myrna Chapel sponsored the person that started it in Idaho and Oregon. So that was a lot of people. Linda Mitchley, when you think about it, there's an awful lot of women that you would recognize. And then I also sponsored someone that started it back east. So that's where Linda and Debbie Lawson, a lot of them come through that line. Linda Wright. Anyways, that's where Ohio and all of the people that came on the East Coast, they started through my lineage. So that's kind of the way it is. That's my story. I have lasted for 61 years, and I have the thing that I could say about myself is that I'm loyal. I am very, very loyal. I could have gone with New Skin. I know I was approached by them. I know that Terra Lee knows that a lot of these Melaleuca and and I'm going to say that maybe I might have made more money. My kids all think I would have, but I'm glad I stayed with Jafra, and I'm loyal because I have all of you. You can't put a price on that. Money isn't what counts. These people all are people that jump companies. That Melaleuca, New Skin, all they jump companies. They've probably been with 4 or 5 or 6 different companies. I've been with one company, and that company has treated me to a life of amazing friends, amazing products. And I think part of the reason that I'm as young as I am at this age is because I haven't had to live with stress. My position with Jafra hasn't been stressful. It has been a joy. Jafra's, my whole house has been full of gifts and all kinds of awards. And they have just treated me like a queen, right? A queen bee. So I've been the queen bee of my own hive. And I just have to say it's been a great ride. Now I'm going to turn it over to Helen if she wants to say some things too about her memories of Jafra. But I love this company, and my name is Loyal.
I love it. Me too, Vickie. I mean, honestly, you just can't shake me on my belief for Jafra. And my story is really different than Vickie's because I went to a Jafra party and I loved the product, but I was buying it and I was just doing all these crazy things. And my husband said, I think you should sell this. And I said, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to do this. And he said, no, do this. And so he actually bought my case for me. And I found my papers. I don't know where they are. And it said $95 purchased by Helen Wells. I know. I've kept it all those years. Can you believe that?
You have, haven't you? Well, yeah.
I do, yes. And so I didn't do a whole lot in the first couple of years. I just did a party here or there because I had really little kids. And then one night I went and I did a Jaffa party, and my sales were $41, not hundreds like Vickie's. Mine was only $41. But you guys, I will tell you that I had been babysitting a family up the street of 3 children, and she was paying me $25 a week. And she came at 7 and sometimes would get there at 5:30, sometimes 6. It was crazy. And so after that party, I came back and like Vickie said, we made 50%. And for $41, I realized that I made enough of babysitting in 4 days. I made $20. And that was babysitting 3 kids for 4 days. And I thought, wow, maybe I can do this. So I have that. My first party was $41. And then one day the phone rang couple years later, and it was Jan Day, and she says, "Congratulations, Helen, you're a manager." And I said, "I am?" And she said, "Yeah, you've sponsored 10 people, so you're a manager now." And I went, "Wow, okay." And my first check was $41. 41 means a lot to me. And then I can remember as time went by and I became a district director, my first check was $4,100. And I have those framed because I look back and I remember when, okay? And I will just tell you that our company by Jan and Frank, it's amazing. And Jan was so fun. I mean, really, she was fun. She would get up on stage and she would be talking and she'd lift up her skirt and she'd have all these pins on her under petticoat and she'd call people up and she'd take off a pin and she'd hand them a pin. I mean, it was fun. We had fun in Jafra, okay? And I can remember years ago, Jan called me, and because these are memories of Jan, and she said, "Helen, we are going to plant a tree here for Frank." Oh no, I'll bet the tree's gone now. And she said, "We're going to have a dedication, and we'd like to have you and Ray come if you would, and be a part of the group in dedicating the tree to Frank." And so I have a lot of those really special memories that honestly you just couldn't put a price on. Marilyn Lewis was there at the time too. So I'll let Sylvia talk because I could go
Yeah,
on.
Sylvia, let's let Sylvia.
Yep.
Go ahead, Sylvia. Thank you, Helen. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Helen. Well, I started in Jafra in 1969. I was expecting my first baby. I've been married just about a year, and I was staying at home. My husband he worked for Scripps Institute of Oceanography, and he was traveling a lot. So I was expecting. I went to a Jafra party up in Los Angeles at my aunt's home, and I have never heard of Jafra here in San Diego. I have lived in San Diego I'm originally from Ecuador, South America. I came at the age of 14, okay, to the United States, legally, just in case.
Yes, legally.
And I worked for the Consulate of Ecuador as a secretary. I remember when Vickie saying that you were secretary. That's what I was. I was a secretary while I still was going to college here, junior college. Then I got married. My husband worked for Scripps, and we went to visit my relatives in Los Angeles, my aunt, and they were having a Jafra party, and I never heard of Jafra. I tried the products I really liked very much, and I asked the lady if she would come down to San Diego and do a Jafra party, and she did. Unfortunately, I didn't have that many people attending, but I decided to sign up. And she did not ask me. I ran out of the facial cocktail, which is what we used to call it at that time. And I said, where am I going to get this? I don't know anybody here in San Diego that has that. So I wrote a letter to Jafra, and I said, I need to reorder the facial cocktail, and I would like to represent Jafra here in San Diego. And maybe within 2 days, 3 days, I got a note from Jan Day. And she had me the name of the person here in San Diego who was a manager. And she called me the same day, almost the guy got the letter. I got a call from Jean Sudaki was her name at that time, Jean Gilkey, later on. And she was the one that sponsored me. And that's how I became a Jafra consultant. I became a manager when as Vickie was saying, at the time they divided into regions, and Jean took the region in San Diego, the area in San Diego, and I had already sponsored enough people that she divided her group in 2 groups, her branch, and I got part of it with the ones that I have sponsored. And that's how I became a manager,
A leader.
a leader. And then I started growing and I started sponsoring people. And of course, I have relatives. My husband is from upstate New York, and that's how Betty is part of my husband's cousin became a Jafra consultant, then a manager, and she sponsored Betty, and that's how
Oh,
Betty. Then
that's
I got a I actually had a district director in Kentucky because for some odd reason I don't even remember exactly. I had a consultant someplace in the East Coast, and she sponsored this lady, Vickie Williamson, and she became a manager within 6 months.
I remember that.
And she built her district within 5 more months. She became a district director before I did. I had the sales, but I didn't have all the branches. But anyway, so I had a branch in New York, in upstate New York, and then I had a district director in Kentucky. And what I told her is, if you become a manager, I will come over. And I said, if you can just uh, have me for 2, 3 days there in your home. And I came, met with all her consultants, did a training. And at that time, I had started the training academy. Vickie, I don't know, and Helen, you remember. I started that training academy here in San Diego, and Robert Kirkland came down and he saw it, how we were doing. And that's why I was able to build my district.
I think
And
we all did that, Sylvia. I think Helen, she did her meetings all day.
yeah, I started,
traveled
we
just
had
like you did.
a whole way of putting together with my managers that I had here in San Diego. We put it together and we start doing the training every week, for the 4 weeks in a row. We had different things that we trained, and I think it was very effective, that what we did, and a lot of growth. So I became a district director. And unfortunately, 4 years later, I stepped down because my mother came ill and I had to take care of her.
But you still collected
That's,
your checks. You've still received income from Jafra. So when you say
I have never stopped being a manager after, I always been a
Jafra paid you
manager.
all these years, Sylvia,
And
all
I
these
have
years.
always stayed there. My loyalty for Jafra is like the loyalty to my husband. I say my Jafra is my second marriage.
Right.
I
Okay.
just, like Vickie just, and like Helen says, the memories that we have, my best memory is when Jan and Frank, they came to my house after we had a big area meeting here in San Diego. And they came, and Jan, they just went into the pool, into the jacuzzi, and Frank just says, give me a book and give me a bed and I'll be fine. And that's what he did. So we had a dinner here with all the managers in the area at that time. But my memories, all the gifts, all the recognition that Jafra has given through the years, I have, and the friends, remember Helen, when we used to stay overnight, and as a district directors with Naira Carranza, she used to have it. We used to travel, I think it was once a month. We stay in one of the district directors' home and we had meetings. I don't know if Helen remembers that. And it was fun. I had all of them come here to San Diego, and I put them up in my, put my kids in my room, and then we have plenty of space here. But is that type of memories, is that type of sistership that we have, in Jafra, that it makes us different from any other company. And through the years, I have met so many people, and people that I remember, they're being very caring, very nice and sweet,
We've had a wonderful ride in this company, Sylvia.
Yeah, there's no one else like Jafra
That's
is.
right.
And
Nothing
that's
like
why I'm so
Jafra.
proud to still be part of it after 56 years.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you,
Thank you. All right, we've kind of come to the conclusion of the meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the slideshow, and I want to thank everybody for being on and sharing my birthday with everyone. And I also want to remind you all that what an exciting time to be able to bring people in. And if you missed the beginning of the call, we didn't record that part, but we want to make sure you understand that this is an ongoing program, that you can come in to Jafra and there are no more starter packs or whatever. There's no more $25 fee. So you want to come on next week and join us on the Hive. We're going to have, we've got a training by Evelyn Abernethy on this new program, and we'll have training next week. Tonight was just fun and sharing memories. I wish we had more time. Some of you, I'm sorry that you, I would have loved to have had you share your testimony of the company, but we didn't have enough time. So I want to go into the slideshow. So here we go. And now I've got to figure out how to do this. So give me a minute. Okay, we will go in here and share. And looking for my share button, and where is it's hiding? Let me go up here and see where I can do this. Here we go. Share, share, share. Here we go. We're going to share, and you're going to have to, can you see my screen? I hope you can. Back to the meeting.
Yes, we can see it.
You can see it? Okay, good.
Yes.
All right, here we go. And all of this should be on the recording. So I went through this tonight. Here we go. Happy birthday. And then we'll go up here to play the slideshow. Here we go. I tried to do all of the pictures. Let me go back to the meeting. Let's go back over here. Stop the share. There we go. So anyways, that was fun. That was just a few pictures that we went memory lane. And I thank you for those of you that sent it to me. I hope I got them all in there, but who knows? It was a little bit hard, a little challenging for me to go through and put all the pictures in the slideshow. So thank you all for being with us tonight. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place on the
It was
Hive.
wonderful, Vickie.
Yeah, it was.
Happy birthday, Vickie.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. I had a really, really nice.
Happy birthday.
Thank you
Happy
for all
birthday.
that shared. And next month, I think every month we'll recognize anniversaries. So when your anniversary comes around, we'll ask you to share just a few words. Okay, maybe 4 or 5 minutes if possible. And then that way we can just kind of recognize those of you that have an anniversary with Jafra, so we can hear your story too. Okay, so take care.
Thank you.
God bless. Be safe, and pray for Jafra. Pray for our company. You know that they need our prayers, and also pray for Bronwyn. She's really, really been very, very sick.
I think she's on tonight. I
Is
think she's
she
here.
9 o'clock.
I don't know.
I think Bronwyn came in.
She
I
can't
saw
talk.
her.
She can't
Oh,
talk.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and can you think of anyone else that needs our prayers? I'm trying to think. My brain. But anyways, yeah.
Just
Let me
for
just
your
tell you
info-
that Bronwyn, when during our meeting, she was sitting in the car waiting to get into Instacare.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
that's where
She's
she's
had
at
a
right now. She's in
reattack.
Instacare.
Cheryl, it's come back on her.
Yeah.
So she
Well,
can't
like I
talk
said,
very well. And
Poor
I'm
thing.
just trying to think that there might be some others that I'm missing right now that need our prayers. So
I just wanted to ask for everyone, and she's doing very well. Michelle Hall, she had surgery
Yeah.
over a week ago. It was a type of a hysterectomy. She's doing okay. They did have to open her up to do the surgery.
Yes, and
she's doing much better. I talked with her yesterday.
yeah, and Elaine Pescatori needs our prayers too. She had to go back into the hospital. So all of us put it in the WhatsApp that were prayers, because Jafra's sister prayers are really strong. And I've just seen amazing things happen to people because of our prayers. So be sure we put that in on the Vickie Hacking on my chat when people need prayers. And I just love all of you that pray and pray for these sisters that you see in the chat. So I want to say thank you, Janine Shell and Janet Cower and Debbie Yingling and Dia for being on tonight. Kathy's iPhone, thank you for being on, Lenora. Thank you. And Linda Hartley, again, Marilyn Blacker. We had pictures of Marilyn in there. Michelle, thank you for being on. And Rochelle Barnes has been on. And next month we're gonna hit foot and body care real strong. We'll be bringing a lot more of Rochelle's handouts back. So all of you download those handouts and put them in files, okay? Because we're going to do foot and body and spa classes during the month of February, okay? So see you next week. And again, pray for Jafra too. Don't forget, we always pray for our company, okay? See you next week. Thank you all for being on tonight.
Shouldn't we sing to you before you leave?
I know.
Everybody can sing.
Yes.
I think we should sing happy birthday.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy
birthday to you. Happy
birthday, dear
Vickie.
And Bronwyn.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh my.
And many more.
We'll keep our day jobs.
Bronwyn had a birthday on January the 15th. So happy birthday, Bronwyn.
Yes.
Belated. We're
Happy
all going to
birthday,
celebrate.
Bronwyn.
All of you that had January birthdays, let's celebrate the whole month. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Exactly.
See you next week.
I
Thank
love
you
you.
all for being on. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Carolyn.